Don't nobody else make me feel like. Don't nobody else make me feel like. Yeah. Don't nobody else make me feel like. Don't nobody else make me feel like. Don't nobody else make me feel like. So don't nobody else make me feel like. Yeah. Don't nobody else make me feel like. Don't nobody else make me feel like. So don't nobody else make me feel like. Yeah. Don't nobody else make me feel like. Ooh. Don't nobody else make me feel like. Ooh. Don't nobody else make me feel like. So don't nobody else make me feel like. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Mark Philpot, and amongst other things, I'm a medium and a mentor. When I say amongst other things, like you, I'm multifaceted, multidimensional, and have a human experience. I wanted to mention that right now because I think that's important. I've created this brief introduction because I wanted to sort of set the tone as to why I created it, what the inspiration was behind it, and what the intention for the show is. Now, my own personal journey has been going on for about 11 years. And it was probably towards the last 3 years, actually it was the last 3 years, that I was inspired to create this show and write a book in the shower, of all places. I do love the way they give us our inspiration in moments we're not expecting it. And the book title I was given was Back to Self. And it took a while to sink in. Not something I thought I'd ever do. And I'm still writing it, still trying to finish it, and hopefully that will be done soon. But actually, with the inspiration of Back to Self, it also formed the basis for what the show is going to be called, what the show's about. So, as I've spoke about the inspiration, I want to talk about the intention. The intention for the show is to create a community, a place where people can come on and talk about themselves, talk about their own journeys of self-discovery, self-realization, or remembrance. What they've experienced in life, who that's made them become, what their understanding is of themselves as consciousness, as part of the universe, or as an aspect of the universe, experiencing itself, what they do now, what their passions are, and I suppose their knowledge and their wisdom that they've gained along the way. So I'll be inviting various guests on, based again as and when I'm inspired to do that, and I'll trust in the universe for that guidance. I will also be posting videos of myself and trying to offer some knowledge and maybe some wisdom that I've gained on my journey so far, and as it unfolds and moves along, in the hope that it will or it could possibly help somebody else to understand themselves, or to be inspired, or to be able to create and live the life that they wish to live. My understanding to this point is that we are all energy. We are all aspects of the universe or God, experiencing itself in many facets across many dimensions. And I think initially my journey started off as being a medium, wanting to be a medium, and wanting to help, wanting to teach the knowledge that I learned along the way. Something I'm very passionate about. It's something that makes sense to me, and it's something that just feels right. And I very much try to follow what feels right, which hasn't been easy along the way, and I've got lost quite a few times, but I tend to get back to where I need to get to in the end. When I come back to myself and just be myself. So I'm quite passionate about people being themselves, because I think in the world that we live in these days, we are all trying to, or many of us are trying to be what others expect of us, or we're just trying to get through life. And I think a lot of that, as in my own journey, is based on life experiences, especially when we're young. And I've noticed in my own journey cycles and patterns um, that continue to repeat themselves. And as I've gone into those patterns, gone within, which is a term I like to use, as you'll find out going forward. As I've gone within and looked at what these patterns are and done the inner work, as people like to call it, I very quickly realized that a lot of these patterns have come from my early years. And that, in actual fact, I was just repeating cycles and patterns from those early years. And then I began to realize that those patterns and those cycles actually come from generations. And it's a generational pattern and cycle that's playing itself out. Now, although going within and facing things you don't want to face, or I didn't want to face, and I'm still facing, let's be clear about that, can be difficult. It also can bring peace, and it can bring a different perspective on things, and it can help you to forgive and let go of things that you may have looked at in a different way. And I think one of the things I love about this journey is that with a different perspective and a different understanding, you can turn a situation that may look quite bad at the time into a positive situation and see it for what it really is. I actually believe that everything happens for a reason. That's my personal belief. It's not just a belief, it's a knowing. And I think that we can become very caught up in emotions. Again, myself, I've been caught up in emotions, and it's very difficult when you're caught up in emotions to be able to see things clearly. So again, another thing that's this journey has been able to help me with is to be able to take a step back out of those emotions, which again, I'm still perfecting. I'm not an expert. But when I do, I get to see things in a different way. And it gives me an understanding that what we may see as a bad situation can actually be a positive if we look at it from a different way. I tend to see this a lot with people that I work with, and I've seen it in my own journey as well. So perspective for me is a very, very powerful word. And I think it can be very underestimated at times. But there you go. So back to my work. So yes, at the beginning of my journey, I was very focused on being a medium. I loved it. For me, it was about coming home in a way. It was when I went to my first spiritualist church, I remember driving back and thinking, thank God I'm not crazy. And there's people like me, which is another inspiration behind this show. So people to understand that you're not alone, and there are lots of us like this, maybe a lot more than we think. But for me, that was a pivotal moment. It was a moment that really started to change my life because it made me feel like I wasn't crazy. It made me feel like I wasn't alone. It made me begin to understand on some level what was going on around me and within me, more importantly. I mean, that was the start of the journey. And as I said before, I was very focused at the time being a medium. But several years forward and several mentors and life experiences, I got to a point where I started to look at things a little bit differently. Now, I've been very fortunate to come across a lot of different people who have taught me a lot of different things, and I've been taught what I would call the old ways of mediumship and the spiritual path. And then I've also been fortunate to bump into people that have helped me discover a different perspective and a new way. And I think between those two, I've sort of come together and starting to piece together my own philosophy and my own understanding of things. And what I found quite ironic, actually, is that I'm also an electrician by trade, which is all about energy, as we know. And with that experience, my life experience, the original teachings and the new teachings, I've sort of brought it all together and started to want to, I think I started to question myself, because I do enjoy what I do. I love it, very passionate about it. And the healing that can come from listening to someone who has, or hearing for someone, or feeling someone who's moved on to a different plane of existence is huge. And I'm very grateful to have been a part of that and to still be a part of that. But I think for me, I started to ask myself, we're all focusing very much in the medium community on doing that part of what we do. And obviously there's parts of it about our own journey and what we need to learn whilst we're here having a human experience. But for me, I wanted to focus more on that part, because as I started to do more workshops and more readings with people and clients, I started to realize, and myself, I started to realize that it's these cycles that are holding people back from being themselves. And actually, whether it's life, whether it's the afterlife, it's all about just wanting to be ourselves, and being at peace. And within that, forgiveness, understanding, compassion and kindness. I personally have spent most of my life focusing outwards, or I had, and living my life based on what I was observing. And again, recently, or in the last few years, my focus has shifted now more to inside myself, because I began to realize, again, through work and through learning, that my outside reality, or my version of my outside reality, shifts as I shift inside. And what I mean by that is, the more that I started to make peace or understand with the experiences I'd had in this life, the more lighter I began to feel, and the more at peace with being who I am I began to feel. And because of that, I noticed that my outside world experiences shifted along with it. And in actual fact, 11 years ago, when my journey started, which was actually around the time that I was very ill and I nearly gave up, I was told to two things: to just be yourself. When I say I was told, I heard a voice outside of myself, and I felt it in my heart at the same time, which is a very disconcerting experience at the time. But I'm very grateful for that experience. It helped me to start to heal myself. And the other thing I was told at that time was to heal myself, those phrases. So I didn't completely understand it at that time, and I'm still maybe understanding it now, but I have a better understanding now than I did. So I'm very grateful for that. So really, I suppose where I'm trying to get to with this is, that's why I'm inspired to create this show. It's about wanting to hear about people's journeys. It's about bringing people together so they don't feel alone. They could maybe get a better understanding of what's going on in their life and what's going on with themselves. I don't think we all have the answers. I don't think that for one second. I think the only people that can really have the answers for ourselves is ourselves. Again, one of the things my journey's brought me to now is, ultimately, we are complete. We always have been since birth. We've always been imperfectly perfect. That's what I like to say, and that's how I like to look at it, because if everything was perfect, it would be a very dull world, wouldn't it? So I think perfection really isn't real. I think the whole point of life is the imperfections and the experiences that we have from them because of that. And if you really want to know what I think that, like I said earlier, we are all aspects of the universe, or aspects of God experiencing itself in the multitude of varieties that life offers us. And that is multi-layered and multifaceted and multidimensional, as I mentioned before. So that's really where I'm at in my own journey at this point. And again, that's what I would really love for this channel to be for. A place where people to feel safe, a place where people feel part of something, a place where people can maybe find something that helps them find themselves, that helps them start on their own path or continue on their own path, or to bring something to the show from their path. Because ultimately it's about loving self. It's about knowing that you've always been good enough. It's knowing that you've always been exactly who you were meant to be. Because of my own journey, again, because of the people that I work with or have worked with, I've often found that a singular event in the early years of life can literally dictate an entire lifetime. And I've seen people, worked with people that have, or that are still, I don't want to use the word blaming, but they're still holding on to something, holding on to a trauma or a time very early on in their lives where if they just had the right person or they'd just been listened to, and I say listened to like that because I think that's something that the world needs a lot more, or if they'd just been able to see it from a different perspective and understand it for what it really is, their whole life could have been different. I don't mean different as in it needed to change, because everything is perfectly the way it is. I think because of my own experience again, and because of what I've seen, a lot of us live in pain. And I don't think we need to. I really don't. But because of my own journey, I had to find the right person for me that could talk a language that I understood to be able to start to heal that pain. And as you'll probably hear moving forwards, read in my book, I try to cure that pain. Is that the right word? Cure it, or find the cause of that pain from an outside perspective. And part of that involved 7 surgeries, spine surgeries, and different bits and pieces, which just ended up causing me more pain until I got to a point where I started to finally surrender, is the word I'm going to use, because I can be quite stubborn, and start to go within and actually start to realise where that pain was coming from, and that it wasn't even mine to carry. But that's my journey. So I think that's probably enough for now. And I think I'll probably cover what I wanted to cover. But I very much look forward to seeing where this goes. I'm quite excited about it. It's not something that comes natural to me, as you can probably tell by this video. But there you go. And I kept waiting for a perfect time. And then I realised there is no such thing as a perfect time. So here we are. Yeah, I very much look forward to listening to people's experiences, their journeys, their understanding of who they are and what the universe is and how we all fit into that. And see where it goes. So I think that's pretty much it from me for now. I do want to wish you a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy the show and what comes on the show. And I'm totally open to suggestions. If people want to contact me or reach out, or if they want to come on the show, you're more than welcome. It's open to all, because we're all here helping each other anyway, aren't we? That's the whole point. So I'm definitely very much open to that. So I think that's enough for now. Like I said, have a wonderful day. Very much looking forward to what comes next. You take care.